I do not have that lovely Scottish accent, so I will do my best, though, to fill his spot.
Yeah, but I feel like our duo name will be much cooler. It'll be Corgan or Shirelli.
Yeah, I think
much
we'll work
better.
on that.
Much better.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, jumping into Singularity and Rick's GG here. You know, I like what you guys were talking about on the desk. I think there is a lot of eyes on the roster changes here. But I think Chiefs actually made probably one of the better points here is I think Scrub's coming off a team where there was a lot of individual play. And I think that's where Scrub actually feels the most confident. But it's really going to be on Singularity. How often do they want him to be unleashed? And how often do they want to stay in more of a controlled team environment?
Yeah, has been a consistent issue as well with Scrub Killer teams about those double commits and where they're coming from. Hibs, on the other hand, one of those players that has really started to show up in terms of Europe and is definitely one that is seen as a one for the future in the scene. That's Rick's GG. A bunch of players here that either coming through or in the form of Magnus just wants to re-establish himself. Winner of this one gets the joy and the privilege of playing against Team BDS.
Oh, what a prize. What a prize.
Hooray for you. And almost a hooray for Dead Monster. Or sliced that one right through the middle.
Still no shots coming out from Singularity either, and this is a team that's just trying to stay in the conversation as well. You know, they don't have that many RLCS X points. They're coming up at like 140. They're thinking the scrub pickup's going to help. Hibs has been a fantastic player for this team as well. Really, when you take the pieces of Singularity, I think there's a lot of good players on this team, a lot of good skill, and it really is, like I said before, finding that team synergy. What does Singularity have that can take down these more top teams? And this is a matchup where I feel like both teams have to win. If you're going to come out and say, I'm going to win this winter split, you have to beat teams like Rick's GG, and Rick's GG has to beat teams like Singularity.
Absolutely, and this could be an opportunity. Magnus making sure the shot cannot be followed. Both teams definitely looking like they're still trying to find their footing in terms of overall rotation, who's supposed to be going for what. And if we were to describe last season as anything, it was probably the endurance season. Breezy looking for his chance, and Hibs wanted to find Dead Monster on the bump, couldn't quite get it. But if last season was the endurance season, this one is all about getting the results as quickly as you can possibly get them. There are very few second chances.
Yep. You've got to show up on the day every single day. And I know that's kind of a corny thing to say, but like you said, you got a little bit of an extra leeway, an extra loss that you could have had in the format before. And in this one, you only get 2 and you're done. And it kind of goes back to that point of, you know, you have to find that team synergy. You have to find yourselves very quickly here because you don't get a lot of time, and that's maybe a good opportunity here for Team Singularity. Still a little bit dangerous as Breezy tried to land back down. It goes in for him. An own goal from Ricks, and Singularity in the lead.
Oh, dearie me, Polar. He set it up for the opponents, and then he helped them out. He was a full-on, full-fledged member of Rick's GG. Well, for Singularity, I should say. And he is not going to want to see that one back. As it is now 1-0. Singularity get the goal. Maybe not the way they were imagining it, but certainly will not complain with the situation they find themselves in. Now Scrub Killer looks for the infield pass. It's another double commit from Rick's GG. They've now got to reset themselves. Looks like maybe crisis management, not the best part of their game so far. As Scrub, we already know one thing that Scrub will always be good for, and will never change with any team he is on, is his ability to transition solo. He can just pick up the ball in the corner, stick himself with 100 boost, and he's very difficult to get the ball off. Now, what happens after that has always been a bit questionable, but the specific part of the play where he can get rid of his team's pressure is so good.
Yeah, he's a guy who you can count on to beat that first man and buy himself a little bit of space. He's good at staying behind the ball as well, just to create a bit more chaos and uncertainty on the defender side of things. He's very tough to get past as well, and I think that's really what makes Scrub such a great player here in RLCS. And Singularity trying to harness a bit of that. It's a great touch by Breezy, especially with Magnus coming through on the demo, and Polar couldn't get around to it. Magnus will put it away in a tie game.
That is a huge bump as well. Breezy tried to get rid, and they realized Scrub's going for it. Oh, not anymore, Ian. Magnus can easily slot that one in. A fantastic response from Rick's GG, and one that they definitely required. With 50 seconds left, Who can pick up that goal that can take them this first game? Scrub Killer clears long. Polar realized he doesn't really have a passing option for himself, so instead clears to Breezy. Breezy might actually be able to go for the double tap. He's gone for it, set up for Hibbs, and he will score it.
What a touch from Hibbs as well, right in the face of the defender, but great setup from Breezy. Beats the first man in Dead Monster, buys himself all that space in the box. Magnus can't get up fast enough, and Hibbs was following all the way through, and great placement by him to put it home. A late go-ahead goal now for Singularity.
Polar wants to try and get something going nice and quickly, but it's another great clear from Hibbs. Dead Monster might not have the recovery. Magnus tries to come in and help out, but the challenge is very early from Breezy. Drops down again. They cannot afford to drop this offensive possession off the crossbar, and it's in, 2 each.
Oh, Dead Monster gets some help off the crossbar here, and Polar actually, I think, had faked out Hibbs. Hibbs thought maybe Polar was going to get there a bit faster, and Scrub Killer, that's a tough one to save as Dead Monster puts it off the crossbar and in. 20 seconds left, we're tied up.
Both teams looking pretty scrappy, especially in defense, but has made this a lot more entertaining as we head into the final few stages. Scrub Killer, he has got Hibbs in the infield, and Dead Monster was able to cover the option. Had to make sure he was ready for both infield and the potential that Scrub Killer might try and 1v1 him. Did well. Breezy looking for the backboard. Dead Monster up, cannot afford to miss touch, and he did well just to put it into his own corner, as we have got ourselves overtime in the first game of the winter split.
And we wouldn't want it any other way, as it has been very close. It was a bit of a slow start for both teams, nothing really happening for either side, and then all of a sudden, offensive explosions, whether it was defensive blunders or a couple of great shots. Now you find yourselves in an overtime in game one, and I do get a bit worried just from looking at Ricks in the first game here. They leave a lot of space for Singularity, especially past that halfway point where it feels like Singularity are able to take advantage. You've seen Breezy do it a couple times. Scrub has been in there as well. So I feel like Ricks has to kind of clean up that midfield play a little bit, find themselves behind the ball a little bit more. Otherwise, Hibbs is going to have free reign as a big clear comes out from Polar.
And we saw earlier in the game a couple of double commits from Ricks, and it feels, switching to your point, Corelli, that the correction to it has been overdone by Ricks GG. Now they're pulling back a little bit too much, but they might have a chance here. Magnus across the face of goal. Polar not far enough up to really do anything with it, but Scrub's got a couple of options. That's too far behind Hibbs to take it on the first one, but he'll happily recover it afterwards. Flip reset, not quite, too far forward on the car. Couldn't get himself the extra touch after the fact.
And double commit again by Ricks, so they didn't have a quick follow-up on the second chance, and again, you're seeing Singularity kind of retain possession because of it. Scrub isn't going to get the touch, but neither is Magnus, and Ricks now trying to solve the puzzle that is their defense right now, as Singularity are breathing down their necks, and Magnus actually gives it up to Scrub, and he might have opportunity here in the box.
Drops down, in comes Breezy, but pretty easily beat by Dead Monster to that one. Hibbs going to take his turn. Looking very confident at the moment when it comes to his individual play, and he's getting a lot of space for it, so that confidence will grow. And Breezy, huge dive in. That could have gone very wrong for him, but was able to get the car just in the way. The demo by Polar looks to try and find the one gap that Breezy wasn't covering, but that's a bit unlucky, really. Scrub Killer spawns on that left-hand side.
And Rick's still struggling to break that halfway point now, and you're starting to see Singularity have a bit more control as well. Even with Rick's players on the ball, it's Singularity player after Singularity player in their face. This one comes out to Scrub, shot on target. It was off the post, but still goes in for Scrub Killer, and they win it by 1 after 2.5 minutes.
And Polar, his miss will completely ruin the good work that they had in this game. Ricks GG will look back at this as one that could have been taken. Singularity did not look great here, but Ricks just collapsed so often in defense.
And, you know, I agree. I think, as much as I hate to say it, I don't think a lot of the goals at Singularity were super strong. You know, obviously the own goal, even there, that last goal, that ball was saved off the post. It still bounced in for Singularity. So Ricks, they're there. They have the players in place. Obviously a few blunders here and there, but I think for Ricks, this wasn't the worst game in the world. And honestly, I think they played a lot better than I expected to against the Singularity team. But you're seeing that speed really come out from Singularity, where I think Ricks is really starting to falter. And that's where they're being beat right now. That speed between that halfway point and the top of their own box, Rix is being beat to the ball quite a bit, and Singularity have taken advantage. Like you said, they have a lot of players that want those solo plays, and they're taking advantage every single time.
Yeah, if they are going to cause any major fault in Singularity, it's trying to take advantage of what might be a little bit of selfishness when it comes to play style from Singularity, because we've got a lot of players there that like to try and take the ball solo. The passing plays that we did see them attempt, and they did attempt a couple, weren't very accurate. But if Rix are going to cause that to be any sort of issue, they have to have some sort of pace of their own. And every time they've attempted pace, they've ended up double committing and they retreat straight back into their shell. So this is going to be up to game 2 to see whether or not they can make that adjustment.
Right. It's been a double commit, or for Rix, they just haven't been able to keep the ball is another thing, especially moving downfield. It's either a panic touch to no one or the ball just getting away from them. Here's a good couple of attempts, though, to keep possession that final third. And I think this is really where Rix has struggled in the previous game, where maybe they could find some form early on as Polar tries to set up his team and Breezy there to clear it away.
Yeah, a good couple of passes happening this time around. Could have done with a couple of boost steals as well, but they're holding on to offensive possession and eventually get the result they were after.
And this is what we're talking about with Rix. They keep that pressure on, wait for a slight mistouch from the defense of Singularity, and that's a great cut from Polar and a good pass from the corner, and Magnus is there to close. That's a great start here for Rix.
I want to keep that going. I don't quite know if that was an intentional fake kickoff or whether or not it just ended up being that way. Either way, Singularity having early possession of the ball, taken away from them. There's that double commit yet again from Rix. It's definitely not been a rare sight, but something that they would also like not be a rare sight is these shots on target. Magnus can't quite find the donor he was after. Now for the backboard, nobody following up for Rix. They've got their goal lead. They don't want to overcommit for it, but they don't want to allow the individual brilliance of SNG to start showing itself. Hibbs flip reset. He's going to start dancing around everyone, but Dead Monster, if there was anybody they want to 1v1 him right there, it was going to be the Italian.
I love seeing that type of skill come out. The fake as well, and then using that flip reset to really just get your wave dash to keep with the ball. Still Hibbs here. He has another flip reset. It does come out to Breezy. This time Scrub's going to take it and completely dunked by Dead Monster. This could be opportunity for Rix.
Well, it could have been, but then they had no car on the ball anymore. Breezy going to have a chance to move in again. Instead, it's Dead Monster. Well read by Scrub Killer. Knew exactly where he wanted to take that one. A booming clear from Polar. Maybe not the best touch from Breezy either. Instead, Dead Monster tried to set himself with a double tap. The first touch got away from him. Straight down again. Dead Monster clearing long, but he's also not being challenged all too often. If you can get that first touch correct, then it might come down to the execution of the second one, and maybe we'll have ourselves a 2-0 lead. Dead Monster off the backboard. Needed more power. Instead, Hibbs has got plenty of time to reposition his car. And that's a pass straight up to Scrub Killer. Polar makes up for it. Wipes out the car of Scrub. Magnus looks to go solo. He almost has done so. Got past 2 players, but the third, just too much for him.
Yeah, I like the little 1v1 play there. It looked like he might have faked a musty flick and kind of backflipped. Oh, that's a tough touch, though, for Magnus, as that one dropped in front of Singularity players, and Hibbs puts it away for the equalizer.
And Rix GG will only have themselves to blame. Breezy believed he had it.
Oh, great.
That's the reason why he backed down, but that is a phenomenal pass. Straight into the middle. Hibbs, it's one of the easier goals he will score this split, but good positioning from him nonetheless. 1-1. And these two teams very close together here across this series.
Yeah, we are obviously in for a very tight series here, like you said, and I think Rix has really turned it up a notch here in this game in particular. I think that first game, maybe they had to kind of feel out what Singularity was bringing to the table. I think they know exactly what they're going up against here now, today at least. You know, it's an on-the-day type of thing, and this is the Singularity they have to play against, and they have really picked up the pace and have honestly looked better than Singularity here in Game 2.
Certainly have, but they need the win to go with it, otherwise they are going to be requiring a reverse sweep to keep themselves in the upper bracket. Magnus, not too sure what he's after here, really, but it might work. Felt like the infield pass might be the more obvious option. Maybe he thought it was a little too obvious as Dead Monster moves in one more time. Dead Monster's clear game has been fantastic. How's his shooting game? Won't even need it. Magnus has his chance. It's a double commit from Singularity, but Hibbs is there to help them out.
And I gotta say, you know, Magnus, there's been a couple awkward touches from him, but man, is he in the right spot every single time Rix needs someone to have that finishing shot. He seems to always be in the box, ready for any garbage ball that pops out from a challenge that pitches across the net. He seems to just have that sixth sense of where that ball is going to go.
Might very well come down to experience. A lot of players, you know, they get to this level, they think, oh, okay, pro level game, not a single mistake can ever be made. Magnus has seen every mistake that is possible to be made across his very long career. He knows what the worst case scenario can be, and he will set himself up for it. Magnus again now on this, having a lot of success individually. Trying to take it past a couple of players. Dead Monster, on the other hand, is going to put Polar in a tough spot. And Scrub Killer will spot his opportunity, dropping down, Hibbs waiting. Dead Monster much more confident on the air dribble out, and instead going to try and go yet again solo. He's got a block, in comes Polar, and it's a huge save from Breezy.
Oh, and Breezy wanted the pinch out as well, but Magnus does such a great job to shut that down and keep his team on the attack. Still very dangerous. Can Magnus get around to this? He tried, and it would have been a top 5 play for sure, as Breezy and Scrub Killer look to kill it overtime once again, Shogun.
And this is the one that Rix GG needs. Scrub Killer jumped up early. He sent Breezy, who can slot it into the open net. All came down to 150-50, and Scrub Killer made sure his team was in the better spot.
And it's not even that bad of a challenge. I mean, Magnus has challenged that, but nobody back yet, obviously because of the kickoff for Rix GG. And so quickly this game ends, and it's another one, Shogun, that tastes real bitter for Rix GG because they were so close, even closer, I think, this time around because they played a more full regular time game against Singularity, yet still come up short.
And this is huge right now as well, because the further you go in that upper bracket, you are skipping low. For those of you out there that are only seeing a double elimination bracket for the first time, the further you get, you are skipping lower bracket matches. That means you are skipping tiers as well when it comes to money and when it comes to those all-important points to get yourself into the majors, to get yourself into a world championship. So for Rix GG, this is a close series, but it's a close series that's going very wrong at the most important moments. So we head over to DFH Stadium. They are going to need a reverse sweep, otherwise they'll be dropped down to the loser's bracket.
And I don't even think anyone on the Rix GG side, at least in that game, were playing particularly poor. It felt like everyone had contributed something to the attack and on defense as well. Singularity just able to edge out there in the overtime, and here we go. Rix, can you do it? You've been so close in 2 games now. You know you can beat this Singularity team. It's definitely within their grasp, but again, still haven't been able to close out a game.
So we have not. Scrub Killer gonna try and take it solo now. A lot of individual plays that we're seeing so far. I think Scrub and Hibbs definitely the 2 most prevalent for it right now. Into the midfield, Magnus not able to read it, but it's a mistake, and Magnus tries to go for the setup for Dead Monster. It's a very difficult angle to work with. This is very similar to the start that we got last time around. Can they get the same result? A goal straight in the first minute. It's not going to happen this time, as Crossbar will deny.
There's Magnus again. He's always there. Singularity, I've got to keep track on him because every time that ball comes across, Magnus is barreling down to put something on net. Here he is again, just looking for the back wall this time, but it's Scrub to pick it up for Singularity.
Scrub don't really have too much in the form of support, and almost caught out both the players. Magnus, he's completely whiffed on it. A chance not only to score has gone all right, but now we have got Singularity the other side of the field into the mid, and Magnus gets a crucial touch away. But this goes back to the last game, Corelli. You pointed out Magnus was having a couple of awkward moments, and he's had a couple more here.
Yeah, I mean, from otherwise almost perfect positioning on offense, there's a couple of weird touches, or at that time, just a massive whiff from him. And he had the setup there. He was looking for that pass across. I don't know which of the 2 from Dead Monster and Polar it was to his left, but still, that's a huge chance for Rix that they just couldn't get a hold of.
It's those sort of huge chances that have put them into the situation they're currently in. Trying reverse sweep against a new-looking Singularity squad. These would be very happy that the pass to Dead Monster not as accurate as it should have been. But he'll be looking to see whether or not he can reset himself in time. Gets at least a bump on Scrub Killer, so a chance to build here for Rix GG. And get themselves into this final third, but not too much beyond that. Hibbs, maybe a double tap attempt. No, first touch go away from him. Decides to back down. Scrub Killer setting up. Feels like both teams struggling right now to really get that second man up as quickly as they need to, because they're getting the awkward touches from the defenses, but then there's nobody to pass to on the infield as Polar decides to just launch it this time around. Maybe this is the better answer.
Singularity looking to counterattack now. Hibbs tried to pick it up as well, but no help from Singularity. And Rick's afforded a lot of space here. That's a great pickup from Polar. Unfortunately, Breezy got a piece of Magnus is there to follow up for Rick's. And Singularity still able to get out of their end.
Scrub Killer, second touch, almost got them out. It was a double commit yet again from RLCS, and it has put them a goal down.
And it's off the post again. So close for that last defender in Rick's to make the save. Polar launching himself across the box. Singularity finally cracked the defense of Rick's. And we haven't really seen a lot of sustained offense from Singularity here in this game in particular, but they are able to crack them in 4 shots. And now a lot more pressure on Rick's. If there wasn't before, there is now. You're down by a goal with 1:45 left.
Oh, and that just really hurts for Polar. Decided to launch it, and falling car of Singularity just landed directly on it. 90 seconds for RLCS to find themselves a goal. Might be able to get something here. Drops down. Magnus just wants to keep some sort of pressure on. He's done well with this. 2 players down for just Magnus. Gets a bump on Scrub Killer. He'll be looking for some support somewhere. It's now up in no man's land. Dead Monster. Has he got the reset? Will he be able to take it? He did have the reset, but all just in such an awkward spot.
Magnus, an absolute cyberbully there in the corner, bumping the Singularity players around. And Polar might have a chance here if he can get back to it, but that's the type of nitty-gritty play that you like to see from Magnus when he's in the conversation, especially on the offensive side of things. Scrub almost able to get over the first defender there in Rick's, as Singularity wanting one more for that cushion going into the final minute.
Hibbs tried to tap it straight down. There would have been anyone available to him. That's a good habit just to get into. Has very much been a recurring theme of those infield passes, not really having anyone available to put them on target. As here comes Breezy. Magnus, has he got someone available on that far side? He did, but it was well covered by Hibbs. Gets himself a second challenge. Now who's coming in for it up next? Breezy just keeping the pressure on. There's no reason for Singularity to put any more than 2 players forward right now, but there is every reason for Rick Ronde to send the house at them. A couple of bump attempts from Magnus, and it ricochets off Polar over to the other side of the field. It's all to do now for RLCS.
And it's going to be the length of the field for them if they can do it. Breezy's looking to kill it. It's going to go off the side wall. Magnus, can he keep it up? He does, but it's in a very precarious spot for RLCS. That'll do it, a 3-0 for Singularity.
And they will take it. Maybe one that you'll have to look back at in terms of how it was able to happen. I'm very, very excited to hear later on what the desk makes of this particular matchup, because honestly, Corelli, we were just sat here, we casted 3 games. I really don't know what to make of either team. I feel like there's certain strengths I'm seeing. You know, I really like the Hibbs individual plays especially, but I'm not sure about some other spots on these teams.
Yeah, you know, again, these teams are fighting to stay in the conversation. Singularity does get the job done, and on paper, you say 3-0, fantastic, look at us, we did it, but they were not the prettiest of games, and I think it was more, a few of those goals were more off the back of RLCS defensive blunders rather than Singularity really looking like the stronger team.
So our first win of this split is going to be going over to Team Singularity. Their reward is a match later on against Team BDS in the second round. So hopefully you're all looking forward to that one. But when we come back from break, we're moving into our second match as we've got Team Liquid against Denied.